was none that did not instantly obey his bidding. In the whole system of 10 million times 10 million spheres upon the 22 million planes, he had his desire. And with all this, he was but himself, alas. Chapter 28, The Pole Star. Love is all virtue, since the pleasure of love is but love, and the pain of love is but love. Love taketh no heed of that which is not, and of that which is. Absence exalteth love, and presence exalteth love. Love moveth from height to height of ecstasy, and faileth never. The wings of love droop not with time, nor slacken for life or for death. Love destroyeth self, uniting self with that which is not self, so that love breedeth all and none in one. Is it not so? No? Then thou art not lost in love. Speak not of love. Love always yieldeth. Love always hardeneth. May be. I write it, but to write her name. Chapter 29, The Southern Cross. Love, I love you. Night, night, cover us. Thou art night, O my love, and there are no stars but thine eyes. Dark night, sweet night, so warm and yet so fresh, so scented, yet so holy. Cover me, cover me. Let me be no more. Let me be thine. Let me be thou. Let me be neither thou nor I. Let there be love in night and night in love. N-O-X, the night of Pan, and Layla, the night before his threshold. Chapter 30, Jhana Dreams. Dreams are imperfections of sleep. Even so is consciousness the imperfection of waking. Dreams are impurities in the circulation of the blood. Even so is consciousness a disorder of life. Dreams are without proportion, without good sense, without truth. So also is consciousness. Awake from dream, the truth is known. Awake from waking, the truth is the unknown. Chapter 31, The Garret. It moves from motion into rest, and rest from rest into motion. These it does alway, for time is not. So that it does neither of these things. It does that one thing which we must express by two things, neither of which possesses any rational meaning. Yet its doing, which is no doing, is simple and yet complex, is neither free nor
¿Qué
necessary.
pasa, Isa? I am listening to an audio libro de Elementos.
For all these
This is Aleister Crowley.
ideas express relation, and it, comprehending all relation in its simplicity, is out of all relation, even with itself.
If you come up on stage, I will read you one chapter from the actual book, if you want to hear it. You're listening?
Try to change my accent.
Okay, this is called The Sorcerer. It says,
But continue. This was good. He was in chapter 13. Or what are you gonna read now?
it's called The Sorcerer.
From whom?
Same
Crowley?
book. I have the book in front of me. We're
Oh, so
listening.
it's the same dude, Aleister Crowley?
Yeah, Aleister Crowley.
Okay, go.
It says, The Sorcerer. A sorcerer, by the power of his magic, had subdued all things to himself. Would he travel? He could fly through space more swiftly than the stars. Would he eat, drink, and take his pleasure? There was none that did not instantly obey his bidding. In the whole system of 10 million times 10 million spheres upon the 22 million planes, he had his desire. And with all this, he was but himself. Alas! The commentary says, this chapter gives the reverse of the medal. It is the contrast to chapter 15. The sorcerer is to be identified with the brother of the left-hand path.
All
That was
this
a
is
short one.
It was a good one.
Yeah, but it was a short one.
See, you don't know this, but you're actually a magician.
Why do you think I don't know?
Maybe you know. I don't know.
false, and it is true and false to say that it is is true and false. Strain forth thy intelligence, O man, O worthy one, who chosen to it, to apprehend the discourse of the master. For thus thy reason shall at last break down, as the fetter is struck from the slave's throat. Chapter 32. The Mountaineer. Consciousness is a symptom of disease. All that moves well moves without will. All skillfulness, all strain, all intention is contrary to ease. Practice 1,000 times and it becomes difficult. 1,000,000 and it becomes easy. 1,000,000 times 1,000,000, and it is no longer thou that doeth it, but it that doeth itself through thee. Nor until then is that which is done well done. Thus spoke Frater Perdurabo, as he leapt from rock to rock of the moraine, without ever casting his eyes upon the ground. Chapter 33. Baphomet. A black two-headed eagle is God, even a black triangle is he. In his claw he beareth a sword, yea, a sharp sword is held therein. This eagle was burnt up in the great fire, yet not a feather is scorched. This eagle is swallowed up in the great sea, yet not a feather is wetted. So flieth he in the air, and lighteth upon the earth at his pleasure. So spake Iacobus Burgundus Molensis, the Grand Master of the temple, and of the god that is ass-headed, did he dare not speak. Chapter 34. The Smoking Dog. Each act of man is the twist and double of an hare. Love and death are the greyhounds that course him. God bred the hounds and taketh his pleasure in the sport. This is the comedy of Pan, that man should think he hunteth, while those hounds hunt him. This is the tragedy of man. When facing love and death he turns to bay. He is no more hare, but boar. There are no other comedies or tragedies. Cease then to be the mockery of God. In savagery of love and death, live thou and die. Thus shall his laughter be thrilled through with ecstasy. Chapter 35. Venus of Milo. Life is as ugly and necessary as the female body. Death is as beautiful and necessary as the male body. The soul is beyond male and female, as it is beyond life and death. Even as the lingam and the yoni are but diverse developments of one organ, so also are life and death but two phases of one state. So also the absolute and the conditioned are but forms of that. What do I love? There is no form, no being, to which I do not give myself wholly up. Take me who will. Chapter 36. The Star Sapphire. Let the adept be armed with his magic rood, and provide him with his mystic robes. In the center, let him give the LVX signs. Or, if he know them, if he will and dare do them, and can keep silent about them, the signs of NOX, being the signs of puer, vir, puella, mulier. Omit the sign IR. Then let him advance to the east, and make the holy hexagram, saying, Pater et Mater, unus Deus ararita. Let him go round to the south, make the holy hexagram, and say, Mater et Filius, unus Deus ararita. Let him go round to the west, make the holy hexagram, and say, Filius et Filia, unus Deus ararita. Let him go round to the north, make the holy hexagram, and then say, Filia et Pater unus Deus ararita. Let him then return to the center, and so to the center of all, making the rosy cross as he may know how, saying, Ararita, Ararita, Ararita. In this the sign shall be those of Set triumphant and of Baphomet. Also shall Set appear in the circle. Let him drink of the sacrament, and let him communicate the same. Then let him say, Omnia in duos, duo in unum, unus in nihil, haec nec quator, nec omnia nec duo, nec unus nec nihil sunt. Gloria Patri et Matri et Filio et Filiae et Spiritui Sancto. Externo et Spiritui Sancto. Interno ut erat est erit in saecula, saeculorum sex in uno per nomen septum, in uno erita. Let him then repeat the signs of LVX, but not the signs of NOX, for it is not he that shall arise in the sign of Isis rejoicing. Chapter 37. Dragons. Thought is the shadow of the eclipse of Luna. Samadhi is the shadow of the eclipse of Soul. The moon and the earth are the non-ego and the ego. The sun is that. Both eclipses are darkness. Both are exceedingly rare. The universe itself is light. Chapter 38. Lambskin. Cowan Skidoo, Tile. Swear to Hile all. This is the mystery. Life. Mind is the traitor. Slay mine. Let the corpse of mine lie unburied on the edge of the great sea. Death. This is the mystery. Tile. Cowan Skidoo. Chapter 39. The Luby. Only Lubies find excellence in these words. It is unthinkable that A is not A. To reverse this is but to revert to the normal. Yet by forcing the brain to accept propositions, of which one set is absurdity, the other truism, a new function of brain is established. Vague and mysterious and all indefinite are the contents of this new consciousness. Yet they are somehow vital. By use, they become luminous. Unreason becomes experience. This lifts the leaden-footed soul of the experience of that, of which reason is the blasphemy. But without the experience, these words are the lies of a Luby. Yet a Luby to thee, and a booby to me, a Balacius ruby to God may be. Chapter 40. The Hymog. A red rose absorbs all colors but red. Red is therefore the one color that is not. This law, reason, time, space, all limitation blinds us to the truth. All that we know of man, nature, God, is just that which they are not. It is that which they throw off as repugnant. The Hymog is only visible insofar as he is imperfect. Then are they all glorious who seem not to be glorious, as the Hymog is all glorious within? It may be so. How then distinguish the inglorious and perfect Hymog from the inglorious man of earth? Distinguish not, but thyself extinguish. Hymog thou art, and Hymog shall thou be. Chapter 41. Corned beef hash. In B is the great work perfect. Therefore, none is that pertaineth not to B. In any may he manifest, yet in one hath he chosen to manifest, and this one hath given his ring as a seal of authority to the work of the AA through the callings of Frater paired to Rabbo. But this concerns themselves and their administration. It concerneth none below the grade of exempt adept, and such an one only by command. Also, since below the abyss reason is Lord, let men seek by experiment, and not by questionings. Chapter 42. Dust Devils. In the wind of the mind arises the turbulence called I. It breaks. Down shower the barren thoughts. All life is choked. This desert is the abyss, wherein is the universe. The stars are but thistles in that waste. Yet this desert is but one spot accursed in the world of bliss. Now and again travelers cross the desert. They come from the great sea, and to the great sea they go. As they go, they spill water. One day they will irrigate the desert till it flower. See, 5 footprints of a camel. B. Chapter 43. Mulberry tops. Black blood upon the altar, and the rustle of angel wings above. Black blood of the sweet fruit, the bruised, the violated bloom, that setteth the wheel a-spinning in the spire. Death is the veil of life, and life of death, for both are gods. This is that which is written, a feast for life, and a greater feast for death, in the book of the law. The blood is the life of the individual. Offer then blood. Chapter 44. The Mass of the Phoenix. The magician, his breast bare, stands before an altar, on which are his burin, bell, thurible, and 2 of the cakes of light. In the sign of the Enterer he reaches west across the altar, and cries, Hail, Ra, that goest in thy bark, and into the caverns of the dark. He gives the sign of silence, and takes the bell and fire in his hands. East of the altar see me stand with light and music in mine hand. He strikes 11 times upon the bell. 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 3, 3, 3, and places the fire in the thurible. I strike the bell, I light the flame, I utter the mysterious name, Abrahadabra. He strikes 11 times upon the bell. Now I begin to pray, thou child, holy thy name and undefiled. Thy reign is come, thy will is done. Here is the bread, here is the blood. Bring me through midnight to the sun. Save me from evil and from good. Take thy one crown of all the 10. Even now and here be mine. Amen. He puts the first cake in the fire of the thurible. I burn the incense cake, proclaim these adorations of thy name. He makes them as in liber legis, and strikes again 11 times upon the bell. With the burin, he then makes upon his breast the proper sign. Behold this bleeding breast of mine, gashed with the sacramental sign. He puts the second cake to the wound. I staunch the blood, the wafer soaks, get up and the high priest invokes. He eats the second cake. This bread I eat, this oath I swear, as I inflame myself with prayer. There is no grace, there is no guilt. This is the law. Do what thou wilt. He strikes 11 times upon the bell, and cries, Abrahadabra. I entereth in with woe and mirth, and now go forth and with thanksgiving, to do my pleasure on the earth, among the legions of the living. He goeth forth. Chapter 45. Chinese music. Explain this happening. It must have a natural cause. It must have a supernatural cause. Let these two asses be sent to grind corn. May, might, must, should, probably, may be, we may safely assume, ought, it is hardly questionable, almost certainly. 4 hacks, and let them be turned out to grass. Proof is only possible in mathematics, and mathematics is only a matter of arbitrary conventions. And yet doubt is a good servant, but a bad master. A perfect mistress, but a nagging wife. White is the lash of the overseer. White is black, is the watchword of the slave. The master takes no heed. The Chinese cannot help thinking that the octave has 5 notes. The more necessary anything appears to my mind, the more certain it is that I only assert a limitation. I slept with faith, and found a corpse in my arms on waking. I drank and danced all night with doubt, and found her a virgin in the morning. Chapter 46. Buttons and rosettes. The cause of sorrow is the desire of the one to the many, or of the many to the one. This also is the cause of joy. But the desire of one to another is all of sorrow. Its birth is hunger, and its death satiety. The desire of the moth for the star at least saves him satiety. Hunger thou, O man, for the infinite. Be insatiable even for the finite. Thus, at the end, shalt thou devour the finite, and become the infinite. Be thou more greedy than the shark, more full of yearning than the wind among the pines. The weary pilgrim struggles on. The satiated pilgrim stops. The road winds uphill. All law, all nature must be overcome. Do this by virtue of that in thyself, before which law and nature are but shadows. Chapter 47. Windmill words. Asana gets rid of anatomy consciousness. Pranayama gets rid of physiology consciousness. Involuntary breaks. Yama and Nayama get rid of ethical consciousness. Voluntary breaks. Pratyahara gets rid of the objective. Dharana gets rid of the subjective. Dhyana gets rid of the ego. Samadhi gets rid of the soul impersonal. Asana destroys the static body, Nama. Pranayama destroys the dynamic body, Rupa. Yama destroys the emotions. Niyama destroys the passions, Vedana. Dharana destroys the perceptions, Sana. Dhyana destroys the tendencies, Sankara. Samadhi destroys the consciousness, Vinanam. Omar Thermidor destroys the digestion. The last of these facts is the one of which I am most certain. Chapter 38. Mome Wraths. The early bird catches the worm, and the 12-year-old prostitute attracts the ambassador. Neglect not the dawn meditation. The first plover's eggs fetch the highest prices. The flower of virginity is esteemed by the Pandar. Neglect not the dawn meditation. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. But late to watch and early to pray brings him across the abyss, they say. Neglect not the dawn meditation. Chapter 49. Warata Blossoms. 7 are the veils of the dancing girl, and the harem of it. 7 are the names, and 7 are the lamps beside her bed. 7 eunuchs guard her with drawn swords. No man may come nigh.
And their slaying of the
Her
prophets
wine
without
cup are 7 streams of the blood
Jesus.
of the 7 spirits of God. 7 are the heads of the beast, whereupon she rides. The head of an angel, the head of a saint, the head of a poet, the head of an adulterous woman, the head of a man of valor, the head of a satyr, and the head of a lying serpent. 7 letters hath her holiest name, and it is. Narrator's note. Crowley here illustrates the seal of a 7-pointed star. Beginning from the westmost point, each point of the star contains a letter, spelling the name of Babylon. In the center of the star is the Greek symbol for Theta. Crosses extend from its western, northern, and eastern boundaries. To the left of the westmost cross is the number 77. To the left of the northmost cross is the number 7. To the right of the northmost cross is the number 7. To the right of the eastmost cross is the number 77. By itself, at the southernmost boundary of Theta, is the number 7. This is the seal upon the ring that is on the forefinger of it, and it is the seal upon the tombs of them whom she hath slain. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of Our Lady, for it is the number of a woman, and her number is 156. Chapter 50. The Vigil of St. Hubert. In the forest, God met the stag beetle. Hold, worship me, quoth God, for I am all great, all good, all wise. The stars are but sparks from the forges of my smiths. Yea, verily, and amen, said the stag beetle. All this do I believe, and that devoutly. Then why do you not worship me? Because I am real, and you are only imaginary. But the leaves of the forest rustled with the laughter of the wind. Said wind and wood, they neither of them know anything. End of chapter 0 through 50. The Book of Lies by Aleister Crowley, chapters 51 through 91. This paperbox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 51. Terrier Work. Doubt. Doubt thyself. Doubt even if thou doubtest thyself. Doubt all. Doubt even if thou doubtest all. It seems sometimes as if beneath all conscious doubt there lay some deepest certainty. Oh, kill it. Slay the snake. The horn of the doubt goat be exalted. Dive deeper, ever deeper, into the abyss of mind, until thou unearth the fox that. On, hounds, yoinks, tally-ho, bring that to bay. Then wind the mort. Chapter 52. The Bull Baiting. 411 books wrote I. In each did I expound the great work fully. From the beginning.
Okay, next one.
To the end.
Delivering emergency price relief for American families and defeating the cost of living crisis. I don't remember hearing about this one. This executive order mandates emergency price relief for housing, healthcare, and job creation to benefit American workers and increase prosperity. Which American workers? I wonder how that one would actually work. Okay, next one on the 20th. Defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government. This executive order recognizes 2 sexes, male and female, and directs agencies to use sex instead of gender in federal policies and documents. Okay, so this is against, I guess, the gender shit that the previous administration was doing. I remember that one. Okay, next one. Also on the 20th, declaring a national energy emergency. This executive order declares an energy emergency, directs agencies to use emergency authorities for domestic energy production, and exempts actions from certain environmental regulations. Next one, also done on the 20th, declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. This executive order deploys armed forces to support border control, constructs barriers, waives FAA and FCC restrictions, and revokes the Southern Border Emergency Proclamation. Okay, I remember that one. Next one on the 20th, clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States. Okay, this executive order instructs the Secretary of Defense to revise the Unified Command Plan, assigning U.S. NORTHCOM the task of securing U.S. borders against unlawful migration, narcotics trafficking, and other criminal activities. Wow. The next one, also done on the 20th, application of Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act to TikTok. This delays the TikTok ban for 75 days and instructs the Attorney General to issue letters of non-liability and allowing time to determine next steps. So Trump saves TikTok. Next one. Allegedly. Next one, the 20th. America First Trade Policy. So this executive order mandates multiple reports to the president by April 1st, 2025, covering trade deficits, unfair practices, USMCA impact, eliminates loopholes in export controls, and more. Okay. Next one, also done on the 20th. This is the last one that was done on the 20th. By the way, that was like, I think probably half of these. America First Policy directed to the Secretary of State. This executive order, the Secretary of State will. So this executive order makes it so that the Secretary of State will align policies and operations with an America First foreign policy, prioritizing American interests and citizens. So those are all of the ones that were the 20th. I'm gonna count these real quick just to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. That was 39 out of 54. That's wild. He did 39 executive orders on the first day. All right.
Damn.
Yeah, there's a lot. All right, I'm going to get to the rest of these quicker. 21st, keeping Americans safe in aviation. This executive order terminates diversity and inclusion practices in the FAA's hiring and recruitment, aligning with a broader EO, eliminating DEI across the federal government. Okay, that's the 21st. Second one on the 21st, ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity. This executive order rescinds all DEI practices and programs across executive departments, revokes related executive actions, and redirects agencies to end DEI initiatives in the private sector. So those are the only two done on the 21st. The next one is done on the 22nd. Only one that I know of on the 22nd. This one says designation of Ansar Allah as a foreign terrorist organization. This executive order initiates the process to designate the Ansar Allah or Alan Houthis. Okay, so this was separate from the other one. The Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization involving a State Department report and a USAID review of all related activities. That's the only executive order on the 22nd listed here. Next one, 23rd, strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology. Okay, so this executive order revokes EO 14067, I believe. I assume that's under the Biden administration. And the Treasury's Digital Asset Framework establishes a new working group on digital asset markets and prohibits agencies from promoting central bank digital currencies. So going back to decentralizing crypto, or I assume that's implicated in that. 23rd, second one on the 23rd, removing barriers to American leadership in artificial intelligence. This rescinds EO 14110. I assume it's under the Biden administration. It directs OMB to revise AI guidance within 60 days and takes APSC, the Special Advisor for AI and Crypto, and APNSA to develop an AI action plan within 180 days. Another one on the 23rd, President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, or PCAST. So it reestablishes the PCAST for at least 2 years, advising on science, technology, and emerging technologies like AI and quantum, with up to 24 members, and
Did
co-chaired
this
by the
N-word
APS
just
and
figure out
Special
how to
Advisor for
read?
AI and crypto. All right, 23rd. Again, federal recognition of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina. So this executive order directs the Secretary of the Interior to.
Oh my God! I think he just figured out how to read. He's proving that he's not stupid. He's impressing people. He's reading.
Huh, I didn't hear about that one.
I had no idea this guy could read. I thought he was blacked out.
Another one on the 23rd. Declassification of records concerning the assassinations of President JFK, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I heard about this one, but I didn't hear much. This executive order is to release all previously redacted records related to assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK, with a 15-day plan for JFK and 45 days for the others. All right, next one is on the 24th. Memorandum from the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the Administrator of the United States Agency for International Development. Okay, so this executive order revokes the 2021 Protecting Women's Health Policy and reinstates the 2017 Mexico City policy, ensuring U.S. global health funds do not support abortion or coercive sterilization. I see. That sounds like something the right-wingers would do. Next one on the 24th, enforcing the Hyde Amendment. I remember this one. This executive order enforces the Hyde Amendment to permit federal funding of elective abortion and revokes Biden's executive orders 14076 and 14079, which protected access to reproductive health care. All right, next one is on.
So I want to point out that when Kennedy gets confirmed, his budget, his annual budget as HHS director is $1.7 trillion, or is it 1.2 trillion? Because of Medicare, Medicaid. What does it say? 1.2 trillion? 1.7 trillion annually.
Got one for Cali. Next one on the 26th. Last one on the 26th.
That's basically everything we take in taxes. Goes right back out to the doctors, to the hospitals, to the pharma corps, to the insurance corps, to the banks.
Historical efficacy, role in state disaster aid, and potential reforms with a 1-year mandate. Next one, 27th. Reinstating service members discharged under the military's COVID-19 vaccination mandate. I heard about this one. This executive order reinstates military members discharged for refusing the DoD's COVID-19 vaccine mandate, restoring their rank, back pay, and benefits, and allows voluntary exits to rejoin with attestation. Next one on the 27th. Restoring America's fighting force. This executive order abolishes all DEI offices and related programs within the Department of Defense and the U.S. Coast Guard, aiming to eliminate inclusion concepts. Next one on the 27th.
Did you say you were gay? You're a faggot.
Military defense to end identification-based pronoun usage and restrict access to gender-specific facilities in the military, with exceptions for operational necessity. Next one on the 27th. The Iron Dome of America. This executive order mandates the deployment of a next-generation missile defense shield and requires the Secretary of Defense to submit a detailed implementation plan to the President. Next one, 28th. Yesterday. Protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation. This executive order bans federal funding and support for pediatric gender transition, directs HHS to review best practices, and mandates agencies to exclude coverage for related treatments within 90 days. I'm actually curious if anybody's gonna argue against that.
Is this a hypnosis? What's this fucking N-word talking about?
Of agency grant, loan, and other financial assistance programs. That was the one I heard about yesterday, so that makes sense. And there's an update, 29th, memo rescinded. So this one got rescinded. But originally on the 28th, TRO granted pauses on federal grants, loans, and aid effective January 28th, 2025 at 5 p.m. pending a review for compliance with the President's orders, while Medicaid, SNAP, Medicare, and Social Security remain unaffected. That was like what it was supposed to do, I guess, originally. But then it was like paused by a federal judge, and then it got rescinded today. So that temporary pause was temporary as fuck. Didn't even last 24 hours. All right, that's all the ones that I know about from this website. That's a lot. That's a lot to take in. And I imagine it's been tough for like the news to report it adequately because when you start talking about one, then Trump drops another one, and you're like, "What the fuck, Trump? What is this?" So I wanted to review them because I've been like curious about what they all were, and I found a website that's like aggregating them. And there's other websites that are doing it. I think the New York Times is doing it or whatever. But I just wanted to know like the direct information. Also, wait, each of these I think have links to. Oh yeah, they have links and they have more detailed summaries. So the thing at the top of the room is what I was reading this whole time. So you can oh shit, they updated the shit. Holy shit. Yo, they updated it. So all the ones from today are on here now, and they don't have the descriptions are pending.
Yeah, how many you got for today?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 today. All they have are the names of them, but they don't have the descriptions.
Hey, bro,
right.
did he just pull a K-Dot? How many he got his stock?
Bro, he might. I mean, it's going like
He's
that
just
right
using the power of the presidency for fun.
What the fuck you wearing, bro? It's tacky. No, let me stop. All right. So it says, the first one says, President Donald J. Trump signed S.5 into law. I have no idea what that means. Next one, expanding Migrant Operations Center at Naval Station Guantanamo Bay to full capacity. I heard about that one that we were talking about earlier. The next one, celebrating America's 250th birthday. Word. Next one, ending racial indoctrination in K-12 schools. I feel like I'm not going to like that one. And the last one for today, expanding educational freedom and opportunity for families. I have a feeling I'm not gonna like that one either. But I don't know what they
Sounds like homeschool.
I'm thinking that, but I'm not feeling his prescriptions for education policy at all. So we'll see what happens. I have my own biases. I know this.
I mean, he did pick somebody who's not interested in ripping the Department of Education apart, which is like surprising for what his campaign promised.
Did you say that Guantanamo Bay is going to be a migrant processing facility, or he's just?
Yeah, well, not a facility, but a place to store people. They're looking at busting
It's not just
30,000 beds.
It's detention. Migrant warehouse.
Sorry.
Fantastic.
30,000. No. Is it 30,000 or 300,000? It's 30,000.
30,000, not 300,000.
So we can stop transporting them to their countries, and their countries can come pick them up if
would
they want.
come in here really giddy about Gitmo. Like that is so fucking you, bro. Like why?
This is the first time I'm hearing about it, but it's a great idea.
Manville, it's Gitmo. Like they couldn't.
Yeah, well, we have all this spare bed space because we're not hauling terrorists in there anymore.
Literally not have picked a worse way to look at that. You're gonna store people at Gitmo where we torture people.
We can put the cartel terrorists there too. It's perfect.
You're missing the point. The idea that you would do this, and instead of putting them on some other island or territory the United States holds, you would stick them in Gitmo. That's the problem. Is that it's Gitmo.
We've already got staff. We've got cages for the kids. They're already built.
Yeah, bro, but that's torture central, and you don't want to put people who have been.
Well, we really tortured people in Bahrain and other places. We didn't do a lot of the torture.
We actually tortured people at Gitmo too.
We did literally do a lot of the torture at Gitmo. What are you talking about?
A lot of the torture was not in U.S. territory.
Gitmo is not in U.S. territory, bro.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. It's in Cuba.
But it's our base in Cuba.
I know that, but that's outside of the United States, bro.
That's exactly why
Cuba's
set up that.
Cuba's a hostile partner.
That's why they set it up. They set it up so they can be less accountable to the Constitution.
No, it's just a
That's what the black sites in Africa and Bahrain and places are for. That's what Abu Ghraib is for.
I'm not arguing with you that there are other black sites. I'm saying they decided to use this black site. As far as optics go, you couldn't have picked the worst fucking
This is like the Area 51 of black sites. It's the one everybody knows about. It's the one with the most attention.
You're still missing the point. You don't take people who violated immigration clauses and stick them on Torture Island, which is exactly how it's going to be portrayed.
Well, it didn't.
Welcome to
We didn't
Torture Island.
say.
Would you like waterboarding? Would you like to be in the box? Or would you like me to stretch you out?
Yeah, I thought waterboarding was the Gitmo thing.
It literally was. It literally was.
It literally was. So, interestingly enough, the first use of waterboarding in the United States was in the 1896 to 98 Spanish-American War. And there's a Time magazine cover with us in the Philippines. And it's got a U.S. doughboy waterboarding a, quote, Muslim mulatto, as they were phrased in the history of the time. And so that's when we first practiced waterboarding. But yeah, we did it at Gitmo. And again, man, it's taking people to Torture Island. There's no way you can sell that.
At least they'll be well
It's a great
hydrated.
place to stick people, but what about the torture?
You gotta
know,
provide them with water.
Food, but what about the
people
torture?
like Manville who don't give a damn about human rights. He'll buy that shit. Look like
No. I just mean like it's incredibly hard to defend.
Bro must be just.
And then we can get countries to show up and pick up their own people because they don't want their people in Gitmo. It's genius. So we'll save money on the flights because they'll come and get their own.
You know, it feels like his inspiration was El Salvador, like what they were doing there with the newly.
Bukele is a fucking genius.
What? What the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
Nayib Bukele is fucking awesome.
You literally just say things, bro.
He turned that country around.
There's no fucking shock value, bro. Like, what are you doing?
He turned that country around, and maybe Bukele will figure out Pinochet's equation of how many communists you need to throw out of a helicopter before the fuel pays for itself.
You do get the point that Pinochet throwing people out of helicopters was a bad thing, right?
He does.
Not nothing that reflected very well in the United States.
Wink, nod, yeah, real horrible thing. Communists falling from the sky.
I mean, simply because one is a communist does not mean they should be chunked out of helicopters. Also,
Communists are not people.
Pinochet is exactly what you get when you interfere during the Cold War. Right? Like, a bunch, aside from the drug cartels, a bunch of the reason we have problems there is because we decided to fuck around there in the early part of the 20th century and during the Cold War. And as long as Russia didn't have a missile base in the Western Hemisphere, we didn't give a fuck what we had to do. I'm not saying that as a morally right or morally wrong.
This is Monroe Doctrine 2.0. We're going to expand American influence in the Western Hemisphere. We're going to re-secure our strategic locations, such as the Panama Canal, such as Greenland. We're going to expand our economic influence that has been eaten away by China.
Don't want to sell. The only way to take it would be by force.
It's not really up to the Greenlanders, is it, Marshall?
I mean, if you want to be compared in the same sentence as Vladimir Putin for taking shit that doesn't belong to you, sure. But Greenland does not belong to the United States. We don't have a claim to it.
The difference is that if we wanted Kiev, we would have Kiev. Putin wants Kiev, but he can't have it because his military is too weak.
You're missing my point. Those who would take area with force because they want to expand their area are in the same fucking category, right? We would have to declare war on the Danes, which would be declaring war on the EU, which really fucks that whole situation up, right? It's not like you could do it without great detriment to the United States.
Well, after we're done with Greenland, we can take Iceland and maybe Denmark.
He doesn't understand that Greenland is not.
Skip the whole problem of fighting in Belgium that so many European wars have had. We could just start from Hamburg and work our way south.
So Manville is hold on. Manville is perfectly exemplifying everything that I was talking about when I talked about MAGA hubris. Motherfuckers are getting carried away, and they feel emboldened because the Republicans won pretty decisively in the last election, and so it's getting them in public to say increasingly dumb or really authoritarian shit in public with no compunctions whatsoever, and no pausing to think do I really want to say this out loud? Are there any implications for basic civil liberties or international law that I should consider before I just say, yeah, opening up Guantanamo Bay and housing 30,000 illegal migrants for the fuck of it is cool, and maybe wink wink we might torture them. That's psychotic shit. That's not good policy at all. Objectively, that's terrible. I don't even know how you would say that shit, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
We should only torture the cartel terrorists, but we can at least house the
We
migrants there.
shouldn't torture
before we move.
anyone. We shouldn't even torture them. Like, no, it's ridiculous.
They just
Who we torture?
We shouldn't torture anyone because that shit's wrong.
Who should we torture? It becomes like a Monty Python movie.
First we can't throw communists out of helicopters. Now we can't torture terrorists.
As federal
What the
policy,
fuck?
capital punishment.
We never could torture terrorists. All your toys.
Like, we're back to killing people, bro. Like, nah.
What's wrong with killing our enemies? What America should be doing is killing all of our enemies. That's exactly what we should be doing.
You're weird,
Yeah,
sir.
that's psychotic, bro. Like, what do you mean by killing all our enemies? Who are our enemies?
He doesn't understand Geneva Convention.
Denmark's not our enemies.
We never ratified the Geneva Convention because that
These are
shit's
actually
for
our
pussies.
allies.
Yeah, we did, dumbass. It's on our freaking military.
Trump is threatening to take sovereign territory from allies because we can. That's psychotic. That's fucking psychotic.
And
I think it's
same
something
thing
wrong.
with
Communist right now.
Bush
Kind of sound like Putin. Where is it?
Like, that's
That was
really
me.
fucking I know he's actually not though. He actually means this silly shit, and that's why I'm responding seriously to it. Cause like a lot of
He's
people,
not
like,
serious.
he just don't give a fuck. He'll say it out loud, but a lot of motherfuckers
He's
quietly
definitely
think this shit is cool. Like for real. Like I'm repudiating it because we need some voice of reason in the room. Like,
Well, it's nice to have a president in office that cares about our borders like Obama and not afraid to deport everyone.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I feel like there's sensible versions of these things. Like we don't have to go off the rails and
Obama believed in killing our enemies all over the world.
Start norming on taking
And deporting them, too.
territories that are. Hold on.
Obama wasn't calling up countries
Hold
saying,
on,
please, can I drone strike
You're
someone?
fucking terrorists, like, shut up. You're not gonna be on stage long. You're only here for my entertainment, man. Go calm down. Like, we don't have to norm on like advocating taking sovereign territory from other fucking like our allies just because we can or because it benefits us in some way economically. That's ridiculous. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. Like, I don't know why.
But he's not doing it, Mr. Black.
It's also
But
an
he's
inappropriate use
threatening
of
to do
empire.
so. He's threatening to do so.
An inappropriate
That shit
use
is
of
not okay.
empire.
Why is it not okay?
That
Because it's illegal.
inappropriate
And
use of
also,
the American empire.
According to
An inappropriate use of the American empire.
And also, there are allies.
who writes international law?
Are you serious right now?
Jason, I know
The
what you're
Hague?
doing.
Are you serious right now?
Mayville, I know exactly what you're doing, and I know the song in your head. But you're
No, bro. Like, so first of all, we adopt international laws in our legal system. That's what we do. But regardless, the point is we would be violating it, and that's not okay. It's not a plaything to violate international law. It's not a plaything to totally betray our allies.
It's only a problem if you lose.
No, it's a problem in general. It's a problem even if you win.
It's a problem in general, but I hear the little voice in his head, and people may not agree with it, but it goes something like this: American Empire, fuck yeah! I think that's what he's saying.
like it's actually leaning into all of the accusations about Trump being a fascist that is making it true, and that's ironic because you guys spent like the most of the last 4 years crying about Trump being misunderstood and all this shit. Like that's pretty fucking fascist.
I mean, we also told you that Project 2025 had nothing to do with his agenda.
Yeah, I didn't believe that shit either. But my point is, my only point is, like, objectively, like, the shit you're cheering on is fucking psychotic. Like, we should not be doing that in the United States, bro.
I think it's a better alternative than like suiciding our nation over some like virtue signaling run into a goddamn suicide cult. Like that's equally as psychotic, if not more.
Don't be so afraid of virtue signaling that you give up your virtue.
You can just not do both. Like, if they're both stupid, you can just not do both the stupid things. Don't substitute one stupid thing for another stupid thing because the other stupid thing is Team Red. That's stupid. Like, just don't do stupid things. Don't do fascistic things.
Well, Mr.
Don't do
Black,
this.
you don't feel betrayed as a black Democrat, with the way the party has done black people in America, you don't feel betrayed at all?
How do you know he's a Democrat?
I'm not a Democrat.
Why does everybody think you're a Democrat, bro?
Because
I didn't know. I apologize for assuming.
Because Jason likes to be the referee, and people on both sides don't like the fact that he's the referee.
The radical centrism does.
Because I'm just judging how the Democrat Party destroyed Black America.
No, I'm not a radical at all. The point of being a centrist is to not be radical.
Here.
Which I will.
Yeah, I still don't see what the problem is treating narco terrorists the same.
Hold on a second, Mandel. I really.
You don't see where the problem of violating people's basic human rights is because you designated them terrorists. You can just
those basic human rights are arbitrary decisions. They can
They're not
reversed at
arbitrary.
the drop of
They're not arbitrary. They're not arbitrary at all. What are you talking about? You can't just treat human beings any way you want because you have power.
That's pretty much how it works, Jason.
No, that's a violation of
Jesus
people's rights.
Christ. Manuel,
Like
I mean,
what?
I enjoyed some of your points, but you're making like a huge case for woke right. You know, like for the phenomenon of woke right, because it's the same, power dynamic bullshit. Oppressor dynamic. Let's get that.
As long as we can characterize the people we don't like as evil enough, we can justify doing any number of fucked up things to them. Like, nah, bro, that's not how it works.
Yeah, Manville, I told my college-age daughter the very same thing when she was woke left. I'm a centrist also. My God, man, do not give up virtue for the sake of being afraid of virtue signaling. There's a big difference between the two.
Like, what makes an American so much better than any foreign national from any other country?
Agreed.
They're American.
I'm going to say God.
But like nothing.
The power of America.
When Jesus Christ delivered the Constitution across the Delaware in 1776 and founded America as his personal chosen country to rule the entire world and tell everyone what to do,
Jesus of Nazareth never stepped
and compel them by force.
Objectively, Jesus
Jason,
You Shakespeare me every day, Mr. Black.
Objectively, Jesus of Nazareth never set foot on American soil.
Not according to the Mormons
I do have to
and
say,
the magic underwear.
But
looks
go
like a
ahead to
Xenos.
say.
if English was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough.
Jesus didn't speak English at all.
You speak in English.
Jesus
bro.
lived-
It's a famous.
Jesus lived. If Jesus lived at all, he lived thousands of years before English was a language.
Jason is like desperately trying to save the world.
Like, what are you doing?
You might want to brush up on the Book of Mormon there, Jason. I'm pretty sure he was in America.
The Book of Mormon is not recognized by Christianity at all. What are you talking about?
Hey, Black, maybe Aramaic came from America, but in the future.
They do both start with the same letter.
Hey, that's true, bro. Just a misspell. Yeah, there you go.
And this is why Prophet Werner von Braun notated that the leader of Mars would be named Elon,
Okay, bro.
which is actually true. Not making that up.
Whatever you say so, bro. All right, back to
Mars.
So these executive orders, I think a lot of them are controversial, and I want to delve into the ones that are the most controversial to people. The ones that don't have the descriptions, I would wait till they populate them. They're pending right now. They might actually be on here before the end of the day, because it seems like they're updating this thing in real time, which is kind of cool. But
What about the Lincoln Riley Act that just got signed?
But that's not an executive order. That's actually an act of legislation from Congress. That was bipartisan. We want to focus on executive orders. So at the top of the room is a link to literally 54 executive orders, over 30 of which were signed on his first day. And this was updated today to include the executive orders that he signed today, but the ones that he signed today don't have descriptions. Which ones are the ones that you guys think are either good or are controversial, and why?
That's a good question.
I should talk about the birth one real quick, if I can.
The birthright citizenship,
Yeah, so
hold on, let Kirk go, and then you go right after. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the one with the Mexican cartel at the border. I think that was a pretty good one because it just, I don't know, bro. It seems as though as soon as they started that, there's been like escalations there. So it kind of seems like that may have been a pretty good one to do.
Let's go to the birthright citizenship one.
So
All right.
I just heard.
Subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
Go ahead, Dave.
What I wanted to say was that I heard from a couple foundational Black Americans as they identify themselves on this app that basically that amendment was specifically designed for the people born of slaves so that they could acquire citizenship. But more to the point, like I think us and Canada are the only two countries that do it. So that seems like one of the more milder ones to overturn. So maybe I'm mistaken about that, but it seems like one of the lesser ones to overturn.
Why would I want to overturn the citizenship qualifications in an amendment that's rather clear and, to be frank, doesn't matter that it was only meant for Black people to be incorporated because they were former slaves? The language is clear. All persons born or naturalized, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, semicolon, and then it goes through the rest of the language. If you are on a United States airplane, if you're on an aircraft carrier, if you're in a diplomat car and you have a kid, if you're on a military base, if you're in an embassy, all of those areas are places where you are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, not to mention being born on our land. The vast majority of jurisprudence, and I mean 99% of it, does not back this idea that it was only meant for certain people and then we can go ahead and use it on illegal immigrants. The language, even if you don't take an originalist connotation of this, when Bingham and the other gentleman, I'm forgetting his name, if people are curious, go to nationalconstitutioncenter.org, type in 14th Amendment, it's got several good explanations. But Bingham in his writings did not keep that solely subject to folks that had been slaves. His hope was that it would incorporate all Americans, all people born in America.
The text clearly draws a distinction between being born in American soil and being subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So what is that distinction?
If you're born on American soil, you are therefore subject to the jurisdiction of the United States.
No, that's not what it implies.
Hold on. The jurisdiction.
If you're born in the United States of America and you are born here, you are subject to the jurisdiction of the federal government through the supremacy clause of the Constitution.
So the jurisdiction exception just specifically applies to if you're the child of an invading military army, if the British invaded and their soldiers have kids, they're not citizens. They're an invading army, and their laws don't apply to them, or the U.S. law doesn't apply to them because they're literally invading to overthrow the government. And the other exception is diplomats, because they have diplomatic immunity. That means the U.S. laws don't apply to them. Anyone else?
The original exception was also Native people born to Native Americans that were on federal lands.
Yeah, at the time, federal laws didn't apply to them.
Yeah, you're right. But I want to read what the argument is, because there is an argument to be made here. You don't have to agree with it, but at least know what the argument is. So this is the actual text I'm going to read to you guys. It's not that long. All right. This is executive. It says protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. I don't know what executive order number it has yet. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1, purpose. The privilege of the United States citizenship is a priceless and profound gift. So consider this like an argument inside the statement of purpose. The 14th Amendment states, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, end quote. That provision rightly repudiated the Supreme Court of the United States' shameful decision in Dred Scott v. Sanford, which misinterpreted the Constitution as permanently excluding people of African descent from eligibility for United States citizenship solely based on their race. But the 14th Amendment has never been interpreted to extend citizenship universally to everyone born within the United States. The 14th Amendment has always excluded from birthright citizenship persons who were born in the United States, but not, quote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, end quote. Consistent with this understanding, the Congress has further specified through legislation that, quote, a person born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, end quote, is a national and citizen of the United States at birth. 8 U.S.C. 1401, generally mirroring the 14th Amendment's text. Among the categories of individuals born in the United States and not subject to the jurisdiction thereof, the privilege of the United States citizenship does not automatically extend to persons born in the United States. 1, when that person's mother was unlawfully present in the United States and the father was not a United States citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth. Or 2, when the person's mother's presence in the United States at the time of said person's birth was lawful but temporary, such as, but not limited to, visiting the United States under the auspices of a visa waiver program or visiting on a student, work, or tourist visa, and the father was not a United States citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth. Section 2, policy. A, it is the policy of the United States that no department or agency of the United States government shall issue documents recognizing United States citizenship or accept documents issued by state, local, or other governments or authorities purporting to recognize United States citizenship to persons, 1, when that person's mother was unlawfully present in the United States and that person's father was not a United States citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth, or when that person's mother's presence in the United States was lawful but temporary and the person's father was not a United States citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth. B, subsection A of this section, A of this section shall apply only to persons who are born within the United States after 30 days from the date of this order. C, nothing in this order shall be construed to affect the entitlement of other individuals, including children of lawful permanent residents, to obtain documentation of their United States citizenship. Section 3, enforcement. A, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Commissioner of Social Security shall take all appropriate measures to ensure that the regulations and policies of their respective departments and agencies are consistent with this order, and that no officers, employees, or agents of their respective departments and agencies act or forbear from acting in any manner inconsistent with this order. The heads of all executive departments and agencies shall issue public guidance within 30 days of the date of this order regarding this order's implementation with respect to their operations and activities. And then Section 4 has a bunch of definitions that I'm not going to read. I'm going to put, this is from the White House government, and actually this link, I got linked to this from the thing in the room, but let me put this.
Is there a definition provided for subject to the jurisdiction thereof in there, though?
Hold on.
He just read it. That's what they.
I left out the definitions though. Definitions as used in this order: mother, father. Section 5, general provisions. Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair otherwise. Okay, so the only definitions they have are mother and father, and then there was another section. I didn't see that, so but they only defined 2 words. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof is a vector of argument, though, because precisely what that means or what the right legal interpretation is what's in dispute. There is case law that favors one side, but it could be overturned by the Supreme Court. So that and I forget what was it. It was I forget the fucking landmark case, but I can look it up if you guys want.
It's United States.
Wong. Yeah.
Wong Kim.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And basically, this executive order is tailored to prevent anchor babies, but still allow for citizenship as long as a child has ties to a U.S. resident or a U.S.
The President of the United States does not have the power to redefine constitutional amendments, which is exactly what has to go before court. The president cannot unilaterally tell you, no, the Second Amendment means only well-regulated militias. It's not allowed to do that.
Like, actually, I think he is within his power for this reason, right? He is in charge of the State Department. He's in charge of issuing these documents. That's an executive function. So who he issues citizenship papers to, permanent resident status papers to, is a function of the executive branch. And if the court wants to direct the executive branch to issue citizenship in a certain way, then the court ought to do that. So
it would mean presidents would then have unilateral power to redefine constitutional rights. They don't have that power.
Upon review of the court would have to either say, no, you're wrong.
You're missing my point. The executive does not have the ability to say, no, it means thing A instead of thing B.
The Chevron deference.
We got rid of Chevron deference. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's not even implicated in this decision, bro. Let's not.
So,
is the way the regulatory agencies treat the statutes and decisions that have come down.
No, hold on. Wait a minute. Stop. Everybody stop. So there is literally Supreme Court precedent that interprets that clause one way. This was adjudicated in a landmark case known as United States versus Wong Kim Ark in 1898. Okay, that is what determines the way that it's been interpreted right now. And because of stare decisis, we've been interpreting our laws consistent with this ruling. It is possible, however, although perhaps unlikely, that the current Supreme Court could overturn that precedent. But until they do, the reason why it's interpreted the way it is because of that landmark case. It doesn't implicate Chevron, and it's not about agencies deferring to anything. They if they defer to anything, they defer to the laws as interpreted in or consistent with the precedent set by that landmark case.
And the lawsuit's been filed, and Trump is going to appeal it to the Supreme Court.
And the Supreme Court's going to come back and go, no, Mr. President, you do not have the right to do that.
Well, we don't know that. Hold on.
So the anchor baby concept is a little bit muddy, and I'm glad that Tucker is here. Maybe he can clarify. From what I understand, you can't the birth of a child who is a citizen does not reflect on the permanent or residency status of the parents. The usual course of action is that they leave the country altogether, and then at the age of 21 or 18, I think, I forget which one, the child can claim their birthright citizenship, but the parents do not get any kind of preferential treatment, and they cannot be given like any kind of caregiver citizenship or status. And so the idea of the anchor baby is kind of, it's non-existent. I think more so what they might be battling is the tourism, the birthright tourism, which is fairly widely practiced. I think people fly into Florida. It was very popular among the Russians, I believe, to come in, give birth, and claim like a citizenship for a baby when they turn 21. But Tucker could probably...
well, the other issue is you have lots of children.
The person who actually has expertise on this is going to get talked over by a blue-eating idiot. But Black is your you can moderate.
It's about the children living
here.
No,
Tucker, go ahead. Can you please?
Not just the ones leaving.
Okay, great. I just wanted to know if we're going to have a real conversation or just a lot of obliviation. Yeah, I'll just affirm that you're correct that the birth of a U.S. citizen does not automatically grant residency rights in any respect to the parents. The person would have to come back to the United States, as you said, when they're an adult, and then petition for family-based immigration through those channels.
Or they could live in the United States as an orphan if their parents were deported.
Right, but that doesn't like they can't petition for family-based immigration before the age of majority, as Andre correctly pointed out. And so the point of the anchor baby critique is you have a baby and it allows you to stay, right? So that was what he was saying. That's a bit of a misnomer because it doesn't actually allow that. Like the citizen has a right to stay, but not the parent.
A girl I dated, her mother got deported shortly after she was born because her daughter had the right as U.S. citizen, but she did not.
But does it make it more likely that they'll be able to eventually become citizens vis-a-vis the ability to petition? Isn't there a unique pathway for petition because the child is an American citizen.
So there are petitions you can file.
That
How
question
does
was
mess with
directed
the
to
law?
Tuger. That question was directed to Tuger.
Yeah, I mean the main bases of immigration are like jobs and family, basically. So
the anger concept
family
is,
based.
but the anger concept I think is still relevant, right? Because it creates a unique channel to petition for, I assume, citizenship, or at the very least permanent residence for a year.
But the key point is it's like super delayed. You have to, as Andre said, I don't remember the age either, but it is correct that you have to wait until you're like 18 or 21.
It's
so like
21.
Delay.
It's 21, and I'm literally an anchor baby. So I'm your worst nightmare. Whoever was, I was born here, but my mom was on a tourist visa, and then I grew up with my aunt and uncle, and then I turned 21, and then she came here, and then my brothers came here, and they're all computer science engineers now. So yeah.
I acknowledge the delayed status of it, but I do think that there's some validity to the concept because it creates a unique pathway. And I think that despite it being delayed, that's what people are kind of getting at. That's all I was trying to point out.
The only people who should be able to buy American citizenship by exchanging money are those investment visa people bringing over 12 family members working their bullshit hair salon that has 0 customers.
Buy citizenship. How the petition process works. In fact, it's actually costly for them. They have to pay for that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The only way you should be able to buy citizenship is that $950,000 investment visa.
The petitions aren't even guaranteed, so like it's not a purchase. They're applying or they're petitioning, and if they get what they needed, like okay, cool. But that's not really a purpose, or should be a purchase. First of all, secondly, like
well, they'll just live here legally
until is your weird, like confrontational attitude towards this practice. Like, what are you concerned about?
I see no logical reason why we should sustain birthright citizenship as interpreted in a world that has airplanes.
Because it's a constitutional right, and you don't get rid of constitutional rights flippantly.
But why? Do you think
it is a constitutional?
Do you think our population is going to be overrun by people you don't think should be here?
I think we're already overrun by a lot of people who shouldn't be here.
So is that your concern, though, that you think we're going to be overrun by people who shouldn't be here?
I don't think there's going to be sufficient impetus to fix our legal process of immigration until we choke off the supply.
Strangely invasive.
What is
it that you're worried about exactly? Name it.
What's the consequence of allowing anchor babies?
Yeah. What's so bad about it? What's the worst that could possibly happen?
The worst that could possibly happen is you import the world's problems into your own country.
So have we done that? Because this has been the law that lasts us the 18th.
Yeah. Have you seen Dearborn, Michigan? Have you seen Minneapolis, Minnesota?
Wait, simply
Let me do this. Are these locations overrun by the wrong type of people?
Yes.
Okay, so you're afraid that our country is going to be overrun by the wrong type of people from other countries?
Yeah, I don't think that we should have.
And by wrong,
enclaves.
Do you mean not white?
I don't think we should have enclaves.
Do you mean not white?
No.
Who are the wrong kind of people?
People who are operating enclaves of
so they are
heteronormative cultures
operating a conclave
and values.
Enclaves of heteronormative cultures. What?
So, for example, we should snuff out ISIS training camps in upstate New York. That's a bad thing. We should snuff those out.
Are you seriously saying
we shouldn't have camps in
How many anchor babies do you think have any affiliation with ISIS?
We shouldn't have. I'm sure there's plenty.
What percentage of anchor babies in America do you think have any connection to ISIS?
We should also snuff out like
You don't wanna
Somali
answer that?
pirates
You know what I'm
being
saying?
elected into U.S.
Have heard of
Congress.
the Al-Attad Airlines to upstate New York ISIS anchor baby pipeline?
Was Anwar al-Awlaki an anchor baby?
No, but he was a United States citizen who was not supposed to be
Wait a minute.
Clearly.
Was Omar Mateen an anchor
He's not a
baby?
part of ISIS, bro.
ISIS, you're not born into. You
Yes, he was.
right?
What are you talking about?
Omar Mateen was part of AQAI. So
I thought ISIS
was
you had to
al-Awlaki.
recruit into.
Al-Awlaki
You never
was
were
Al
born
Qaeda
into it.
in the Arabian Peninsula.
Anyway,
Was
And by the way, man,
was
he
Nidal
was a US
Hassan?
citizen that was
Wait,
summarily
Where'd
executed.
you decide that Abdul al-Awlaki was a part of ISIS?
No, it wasn't ISIS.
we're
It was
getting pretty far afield here from the first dumb point, which was that the concern that was raised has been around for like probably twice as long as my entire life, and the alleged problem associated with it has not materialized. Like the references of the problems exist even if you assume that they are in fact problems, not because of the relevant legal principles. So it's like, okay, I mean, try again. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man, it just kind of sounds like you don't want it.
And on principle and on what is right, why?
Not cultural enclaves because the municipal police and city councils and school boards still operate enclave like they have in England. Don't operate.
16 years old. I don't think that he was.
The enclaves in England, they rape girls with impunity and the police protect them.
Can you address the dumb thing you said? So, Abdul al-Awlaki was 16 years old. He was a U.S. citizen. He was killed by drones under Obama. I don't think he was a part of ISIS. He was fucking 16, bro. Like,
He wasn't killed when he was 16. That's his son.
No, Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki was killed at 16.
Yeah, that's the son of
Anwar al-Awlaki.
So Anwar
said Abdul.
I think you're talking about Samantha al-Hasi. You're thinking of...
I'm talking about Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, who was killed at 16 by a drone strike in Yemen. That's who he named.
No, I was talking about his dad, who was also killed in the same drone strike.
Okay, so his dad was a part of ISIS? Is that what you're saying? Anwar, his dad was a part of ISIS?
No, he was not. Anwar al-Awlaki.
I know he wasn't. That's what I'm trying to get him to fucking deal with. Like, none of these people were part of ISIS. You make that up, bro.
Samantha al-Hasi is the woman that went and joined ISIS with her Moroccan husband, brought her two current American-born citizens. She was an American citizen, went over there, and then had two more children with her husband, and then came back to the U.S., and they were deemed, I think she was, I can't remember, I think she was decried by the courts as no longer a citizen of the United States. We banned her from the country, along with her children.
No, I think
I'd have to go look.
the right one. It was under the last year of the Obama administration. I remember it specifically, actually.
That was the whole kill list thing, right?
But like, what the fuck is the anchor baby point? How does that even jive with any of the things you said, bro?
Al-Awlaki, well, okay, he was Al-Qaeda, not ISIS. Sorry for not making that super important distinction.
I mean, they are super important.
So Anwar was Al-Qaeda, not Abdul, who you named. The son.
I never named Abdul. You did.
You literally did. You literally did.
No, I did not. Go run back the tape. I said Al-Awlaki, but I never said a first name.
You did, though. Okay, fine.
I never said a first name.
Okay, so you met his dad, Anwar. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anchor baby?
So Anwar's father, Nasser al-Awlaki, was born in Yemen, came over here, and was a Fulbright scholar. He got his master's degree in agricultural economics at New Mexico State. He got a doctorate from the University of Nebraska. So he was on one of those student visas, and then left and served as agriculture minister of Yemen as a part of the Yemeni government and president of a university in Yemen, and then was Yemen's prime minister. So Al-Awlaki, having American citizenship, being born here, he was the son of a Yemeni politician.
Anwar Abdul.
No, Anwar Abdul is Anwar's son.
I know. But which one are you talking about? You just used the last name.
So
which
the
one?
biography I'm talking about is Anwar al-Awlaki's father,
Nasser. Okay, so when you said, okay, but what does that have to do with Anchor Babies? Try to be specific and use their first name so I can know which one you're talking about.
Nasser came to the United States with a student visa.
Yes.
He studied here. He got degrees here. He then left back to Yemen and eventually became prime minister.
Okay.
His son had U.S. citizenship.
Anwar,
and was born in New Mexico.
Okay.
In Las Cruces in 1971. Right.
Okay.
If this Trump executive order gets upheld in the courts, right, Anwar would not be eligible for U.S. citizenship unless his mother was American.
Okay.
Because his dad wouldn't be here on a permanent basis, and his father's status as a Yemeni citizen and a Yemeni politician.
On the off chance that it enables terrorists to become U.S. citizens? Is that what you...
Then I wouldn't have to listen to people like Marshall whine and cry that a citizen got a drone up his ass for being a fucking terrorist.
At least you clarified your point, kind of. Okay, so then what percentage of anchor babies generally are terrorists or have terrorist affiliations?
I'm not sure. We should have the Secretary of State look into that.
1%. It's really fucking small, which is why your policy proposal is weird. Like, if you want to reverse all of this precedent on the off chance that we can avoid something that very rarely happens, like, make that argument. It's just that's not going to be very persuasive.
This could all get solved by a Muslim ban, I guess. That'd be much easier.
You can't do that. That's unconstitutional.
I mean, it was already done.
Well,
no, a ban on certain countries.
Also, that ban you're talking about went to the Supreme Court. So, like, it's been adjudicated. You can't just have blanket Muslim bans. You can't just ban Muslims from coming to the United States. That's clearly against the law. So, like, that's not going to help. But also, what I like about it is that you revealed your real reason you don't like it, which is you don't want the wrong kinds of people in the United States. That's really what your MO is.
Yeah, there's no reason Ilhan Omar should be over here.
Why? Why can't
running Minneapolis into the ground?
I don't even agree with her, but like, there's no reason why Muslims can't like be citizens, dude. There's like hella Muslims.
Like, there's plenty of Muslims that are great citizens, but she ain't one of them.
Okay, but then why have a policy aimed at eliminating the possibility of them if you acknowledge that?
Yeah, like we should not be operating the world's refugee camp. Like, that's not what our country is. It's not a refugee camp.
Operating the world's refugee camp.
But it is a part of our laws to accept refugees and accept asylees. It's literally on the books in our country.
We should change that.
It passed both houses of Congress. It was signed by a president. So, like, why can't we uphold our own laws?
Well, they clearly need some changes due to the situation.
What situation?
The situation that we can see unfolding in Canada and Europe, especially England.
Yeah, but that's not happening here, and it's not happening here because we have laws that prevent it.
The environmental refugee status
England or mainland Europe, and we're going to have to deal with a bunch of Muslims who go out and screw over people, is not our area, Manville. It's not our country. It's not how we work, right? Those countries do not make the enclaves obey municipal law. In the United States, if you want to declare something,
doesn't even accept the overwhelming majority of quote-unquote environmental refugees are not coming to the United States. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Yes. It's going to get worse, though, and it's going to be a lot more displacement, by the way. And the guy who you're cheering on has actually, like, obliterated a bunch of things that were aimed at, like, addressing climate change because y'all pretend like it's not real, by the way.
Correct.
And that's actually going to contribute to more displaced people in the globe. But that aside, like, I don't think you care about that.
Yeah, so we need to, if we're increasing the number of displaced people.
Eurocentric conception of what a pure American is, and anybody who deviates too much from that you don't like, I think that's what it is. And that's fucked up, bro. That's a fucked up philosophy.
I think that the Indian and Asian Americans are awesome. They're doing it right.
Unless they come from elsewhere.
Yeah, because you view Asians as industrious, which is why you have a particular point of view.
Okay, what about
That's why you don't have that view about
Can we
Hispanics.
can we accept
Filipinos are great.
Can we accept Haitian refugees?
Are you fucking kidding me?
All right. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. I want to hear you say the stupid shit.
Absolutely not.
Why not? Why not?
Because we're going to import Haitian problems.
Okay. Like what?
What problem?
If they're going to improve America so much, why aren't they improving Haiti?
No. What problems are they bringing over? Stick to the actual thing.
You want to know the ironic answer to that question, by the way? It's because America keeps fucking up Haiti. That's why. America's fucked up Haiti so many times over the last few decades. That's why. They would probably be perfectly good on their own if we left them the fuck alone, bro. But
well, I'm all for leaving Haiti the fuck alone and stopping assassinating their presidents.
In their fucking sovereign country.
Well, that was the Clinton Foundation, okay? That wasn't
Clinton. What the fuck? We've been interfering way before Clinton.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have revolted against the French. Maybe they should have stayed under French rule, like Algeria.
Maybe they should have stayed slaves under French rule. And
it's just weird that America contributes to like the destabilization economically of a bunch of sovereign nations, and then American citizens thumb their nose at the people when they come here where all the fucking opportunities are that we fucking salvage from their country a lot of times for ourselves. Like, come on, bro. Like, I get it. You don't give a fuck about anybody outside of the country. But, like, if you know that we fucked over other countries, then that's kind of a hard position to defend, bro.
Alternatively, we could invade Haiti, suppress the gangs, and then turn it into a Trump island resort.
We shouldn't invade Haiti. We've
already funded coups in Haiti, bro. Like, we've stopped people. We've gotten rid of people that they've elected. Like, come on, dude. Do you just not know the history of our intervention?
Yeah, I know. I went to college with Gilbert Biggio's grandchildren.
Okay, so then why are you acting so goddamn cavalier about our involvement in fucking up their economic stability over the last few decades and their political stability? Like we're kind of a big reason why it sucks there.
Why were they able to be destabilized? Why were they vulnerable to that? That seems like their problem.
Well, because we were a whole ass fucking superpower. We are very close in proximity, and we wanted things in those regions for ourselves. That's why. Like, it doesn't imply anything about them that we're a superpower and we use that power to our advantage. Any more so than a dude who's bigger and stronger than you kicks your ass and takes your wallet. It's like, well, why was he able to take your wallet? What does that imply about you? Are you a bitch? Like that's weird. That's victim blaming. Why would you do that?
Because sometimes it's the victim's fault.
Oh, okay.
If you go around the world and you swing your wallet around and you flash the shiny gold minerals and resources that are in it.
You must have had it coming.
And you don't align yourself with a big conglomerate protection racket. Like, it's the same thing. It's the lone store owner, on the corner. He doesn't pay the Genovese family. He doesn't pay the Colombo family. He doesn't pay any family. And so all five of them are fucking him over at the same time.
It's the scantily clad woman who decided to wear that tight dress and walk down an alley by herself.
Yeah, well, you can have one pimp, or you can deal with the whole fucking neighborhood. It's a trade-off.
Should have got a pimp. That's what she.
Haiti should have got a pimp.
There you go.
Yo,
you felt it perfectly, just so you know it doesn't make you look.
No. It's more effective to let him get it out than let me record it. It's way more effective. But
I don't see any difference in how the American government operates abroad than the fucking crime families in New York. It's a protection racket.
Yeah, but it's wrong. It's not a good.
Oh my God, this right and wrong shit.
Oh fuck, morality. Why
No, he's a
fucking philosopher over here.
Holy shit.
He's a fan of something known as the Million
Fuck
Dialogue.
ethics, bro.
The Million Dialogue is fantastic. Can we talk about the Million Dialogue?
We're dominating the world.
Hey, I knew I could read you.
What the
The
fuck?
Million Dialogue says the strong do what they will and the weak suffer what they must. That's Manville's essential view on the world.
But when the Spartans won the Third Peloponnesian War, and when the Spartans had the opportunity to sack Athens, they spared Athens from a position of strength, the humiliation and the rape and the just retribution that was owed to them for what the Athenians had been doing throughout the colonies and mainland of Sparta and their territories.
Just so you know, if you're going to mention raping and pillaging in a story, you kind of need to back that up to show why that is a historical thing instead of just saying it. Otherwise, I don't think people connect historical statements.
Well, it's what the Athenians did to the people of Melos. The Melian dialogue is the dialogue between the Athenian fleet and the Melian emissaries.
Tim said justification.
But what happened? What happened to Melos, Marshall?
Who has the biggest stick makes the rules. That's his special point of view.
It's fascistic. I get it, but it's like it's just to me it's entertaining hearing you just kind of casually and brazenly just describe this shit.
I'm not like super enthralled to like get a bunch of corporations involved in like administering some weird American empire. Like I'm fine with us doing it in a more dare I say socialistic manner or isolationist manner, just as it
we're just gonna,
as it is convenient.
We're just gonna take North America and we're gonna stop there because we're generous.
Well, as long as we get the canal, both sides, maybe a bit of Colombia. I mean, Venezuela needs to get stepped on as an example.
So we're gonna take North and Central America and maybe a little bit of South America, but then we're generous enough to leave the rest.
Yeah, well, the Brazilians speak Portuguese, and it's an ugly language, so they got to go too. But we'll leave the Argentinos alone.
I don't think Portuguese is an ugly language, actually. I don't understand it, but it's always sounded like a fun language to me.
I can't stand the sound of it. And for that reason, we should take Brazil before we take Argentina.
Oh, why not? There you go.
We need to design you a Team America World Police thing, Manville. Because that's what you're doing right now. America, fuck yeah, greatest country in the motherfucking world.
Yeah. The might makes right philosophy is bullshit, bro. Like, there's nothing about being American that makes you special. Like, you just happen to be born in a country that has amassed a lot of wealth, usually through bloodshed, and you get to take advantage of it in a lot of ways. It doesn't make you better. You could have just as easily been born in a third world country. And I think if you had, you'd be able to understand this principle very well. There's nothing special about
Look at what we did.
Born in superpower countries.
Japan, Imperial Japan did nothing but make the mistake of behaving exactly like England and America. That's all they did. They behaved in the exact same manner. And the tribunals that were held following the victory over Japan, the legal proceedings and the international precedents that were set by these victors in this conflict were as hypocritical as you can get. Having like men who lived through the British Empire and some Australian and a Chinese guy. And ironically, the Chinese guy that represented them at the tribunal was executed later by Mao. But it was actually very difficult. India participated. India and China had a real hard time wrapping their heads around and contorting themselves into coming up with a way to nail Japan for their horrible aggressive war and how evil aggressive war was after their home colonies or their host countries and their behavior as colonies had been set with kind of the same goals.
I mean,
and utilize the same methods.
Let's be real. They didn't get the same judgment as the Germans because we dropped 2 nukes on them, right?
But we executed.
Like, all right, there's your punishment.
We executed Tojo, and we executed a lot of the other generals and some of the high command. But guys like the Unit 731 guy.
Oh, that's interesting.
The unit Tojo got hanged.
Dude, I didn't know that. I know a lot about World War II, but I didn't know that.
So we hang Tojo, but then the Unit 731 guy, we give him a fucking billet as a fucking military doctor. We give Werner von Braun and all his crazy Nazi asshole friends secret lives and cover identities and jobs.
I always had a problem with what we did for von Braun. I mean,
Hold on, wait. I want to find out a couple ironies. So, Tojo was convicted of international, of war crimes, international military.
Yes, these made-up things that you seem to love.
Well, no, but that was the justification for us taking the action we took. So, if you're saying that was legit, then you're now sending.
I'm saying that it was wrong to kill Tojo. Tojo did nothing wrong.
Okay.
Wait,
why do you care?
War crimes committed by the Japanese weren't wrong?
Yeah, why do you care about it?
The Bataan Death March was not particularly.
He was literally the mastermind behind the attack on Pearl Harbor, though. So how did he do nothing wrong?
And the Canadians daisy-chained prisoners to fucking frag grenades when they moved through fucking.
Yeah, but we're not the Canadians. So why does it matter?
The dude was the mastermind behind the attack on Pearl Harbor. How does that constitute doing nothing?
The judgment of Tojo and Imperial Japan by the British Empire and by America as condemning them is simply arbitrarily due to the fact that they lost.
Okay.
There are no actions, there are no behaviors that America and Britain can stamp out and say, we chose to not behave in this way, but you did, and that is what we are condemning you for. Every single line item of the charges against Tojo and his command were committed by all of the powers that passed judgment on them.
Right. But you're just all you're doing is pointing out the American hypocrisy, one. But it's the same hypocrisy that you just extolled not 10 minutes ago. So I don't know why you're.
If you win the war, you get to sit on the good side of the tribunal. If you lose the war, you get to get marched out to the gallows or the wall and get shot. That's how this works.
Yeah,
that's the only difference between a good guy and a bad guy is who's swinging the gavel and who's pulling the trigger.
All that is might makes right. That's all you're saying.
That's all we did to kill them. That's all we argued to kill them.
Okay, fair enough. But what do you think you're proving right now? And that's justified because we say so?
It's because we won that we are absolved, and they are.
But we're not absolved. That's not what that's not even the kind of thing that could.
What American generals in World War II did we drag before that tribunal and execute for war crimes? Exactly.
Okay, but what do you think you've proven then? That's the part I don't get. You seem to be advocating for something. You're not really proving anything.
I believe in order to righteously pass judgment and draw a line in the sand, right? That requires for it to be true, it requires you to not act hypocritically. If you are acting hypocritically, then it's not a line in the sand. It's just might makes right. Put a nice way. And some wordy fucking political scientist wrote it up in a fucking textbook and sent out a bunch of people into in the international affairs space with this high and mighty, holier than thou. International laws have decreed that we are so amazing because we treat people this way and we don't treat people that way.
Like all you're arguing is that America's hypocrisy throughout history is somehow indicative of the idea that there is no objective right and wrong in terms of like countries doing fuck shit to other countries. So it seems like
if we're complacent, we're gonna have fuck shit done to us.
Right, but is that what you're arguing though? There's no objective.
If we don't do it, Jason, somebody will.
Yeah, but where do you stand on the objectivity of morality as it applies to these actions? Because you're not making that clear.
It sounds.
I'm not really sure, and I don't really care as much.
Okay, so it makes it seem like you think that there's no such thing as an immoral action when done from one nation to another.
Well, I mean, like the experiments that were conducted by the Nazis on Jewish prisoners, Russian prisoners, gypsies, etc., were horrible human atrocities. The experiments conducted in Unit 731 were probably arguably worse than what the Nazis did during the Holocaust. But the research that was gleaned and was utilized from those things are responsible for saving millions upon millions of lives and created many good outcomes out of those terrible
that's not a justification for the atrocities, though.
Well, it's an understanding that in everything there's trade-offs. There's no solutions.
But that doesn't address the moral dimensions. That's turning a blind eye to the moral dimensions. Like if you consider them atrocities, then to me you're kind of acknowledging the moral dimensions, but you're doing it selectively. You're not acknowledging it when the United States does fuck shit, which is weird.
Well, that's the convenience of picking a side, Jason, because eventually, and I actually think this came up in an argument between Roger Waters and a news guy or a pundit. And I think it was somewhat about Palestine. It was somewhat about Britain and America and their behavior. And at a certain point, Jason, it does come down to, you've got a fucking team in the Super Bowl, and you better hope you win. Like, regardless of the moral grandstanding going on, you do end up picking a side.
Morality is not partisan that way. Morality doesn't pick favorites and winners, and morality doesn't have a home country. It's objective. That's the beauty of it.
So you believe in objective morality?
I believe you believe in objective morality. You're just not committing fully to it, which is weird because, you keep talking like you do, but then you keep talking like you don't, and I can't tell.
Maybe I'm morally queer or moral fluid.
I just want to ask, what's the reasoning for allowing? Because if you look back at the real reason they allowed birthright citizenship is they were colonizing the country, right? They wanted to grow the population. Okay, we've got a population. We've got a strong population. We are allowing a large amount of immigrants in legally every year. We can streamline that process. We need to streamline the process. I know people who have literally had to sit and wait while their family got their lottery pick and gave it up for family to be here, and they've been waiting overseas for many, many years. Okay, they have businesses here. That all needs to change. I get it, but to allow birthright citizenship, it makes no sense anymore. I mean, it's real simple to do. Let me finish. It's real simple to allow people to use a law that was wrote, in the 1800s for a reason to still do something today. Times have changed. There's a lot more at risk today too, and we don't allow ambassadors' children's, and we never have, their children to become citizens. So, there's already exclusions in it, right? So we can sit here and say this is what it says. That doesn't mean it can't change. It doesn't mean it shouldn't change. What we need to do is just go about it the right way. I mean, everybody wants to find every reason to sit here and argue. And we're looking at it with a certain perception. And Marshall, let me finish. Okay, we all have a perception, but we need to do is we all need to look at things from very
What's the reason for
perspectives.
changing it?
It's not a
What's that?
perception.
No, hold on, Marshall, stop. What? No reason, no valid or reasonable reason has been given to.
I just gave you it. There's no reason. The reason it was done originally.
You didn't give me a
tell
reason. You
me
said
why
it
it was
wasn't.
originally put in.
It was originally put in, or it was designed with the slaves in mind, because it was
It
an
was designed
overturning
for
of
colonizing, is what they said.
No, that's not what they said. So it was literally overturning.
No, that is
the
what it
Dred
is.
Scott
It's about they
decision. No,
wanted
it
to
isn't.
grow
It
the
was
population
literally
here.
overturning the Dred Scott decision. That's what it was. Yes.
That's so you're wrong, because if you read
No,
what
I'm
they
not
wrote
wrong.
and what they talked
No,
about,
I'm not wrong.
you are
They
wrong.
literally
You are wrong.
overturned that. No, I'm not.
It wasn't about slavery.
You're wrong. They
You're
actually
wrong.
overturned
Because it was the
Dred Scott
1800s and slavery was.
So then what
about,
overturned
tell me again.
Okay, so then what overturned the Dred Scott decision?
What was that?
What overturned the Dred Scott decision then?
I couldn't understand you. What'd you say?
What overturned the Dred
What
Scott
overturned
decision?
Dred Scott?
I can't tell you that.
Yeah, I just
I
told
don't
you.
care.
You're wrong.
So do you know?
What?
I just
Do
told
you know the
You're
principal
wrong.
pieces of?
You don't know what the
Do you
fuck
know
you're
the
talking
principal
about.
pieces
You're
of
trying
Dred
to
No,
Scott?
tell me where the fuck I'm wrong. Tell me where
I
20.5
literally
is the
just
same
said,
reason of
you
that time.
dumbass, it was overturning the Dred
Listen,
Scott
dumbass.
decision.
You're being a
Retard.
dumbass. You can go and kick me out of the stage,
Listen,
but you're being a
dumbass,
dumbass.
you're being
You got
a
a
dumbass.
perception and you're
I know
refusing
you
to
are,
look
but
at
what am I?
perspectives.
I know you are, but what am I? That's how you sound to me right now. You
No,
know what the
you're
fuck you're
being
talking about.
ridiculous.
I'm just correcting you.
No,
You don't-
you're not. You're being an
I
ass.
literally just told you why you're wrong.
Tell me why
And
you
know,
want to
I literally
have the
just told
same.
you why you're wrong.
Tell me why.
I literally just told you why you're wrong. How many times do I have to say the same shit, bro? No, I got it, cuzzo. Don't even interfere, bro. I got it. I know what I'm doing. Like, you're just wrong, first of all. Secondly, you skated by the question. Actually, what would be the reason? What would be the Marshall, stop. What would be the reason for not allowing birthright citizenship? You didn't give one. And then you proceeded to give a dumb fucking misinformation about the origin of it in the first place.
I did give a reason, and you just didn't want to listen because you were in your little.
Okay, so what's the reason?
Okay, there's a lot of different issues in the world today than there were in the 1800s. Okay,
So what?
right now we have people who could literally send somebody
what?
here.
So what?
I'll let you go,
So what?
and I'll stop.
So what?
Okay.
So what? Just because the world's different is not a good reason, dumbass. Try again.
Let's try this, dumbass. Okay, here you go, dumbass. Okay, we have people who literally want to come here and do bad things in this country, right or wrong.
Okay, sure.
No, right or wrong. Yes or no.
Yes. We have a very small percentage of people who do. Yes.
Okay, and can a very small can 6 people kill 3,000 people in a matter of minutes?
In America,
Yes or no?
not likely.
Not likely. It happened on
Not
September 11th.
likely.
Wait, there were no bad people in the 1800s, right? When this was written,
We're not
nobody went
talking
to come here
about
and do
that.
bad things.
Wait, no, hold on. It happened at night. It happened on September 11th.
Yeah, and then when did they try it before that?
So how likely is it that it'll happen again?
Oh, I guarantee it's going to happen again at some point.
How likely is it that it's going to happen?
100% it'll happen again. Even
It's
our
100%.
own. Yeah.
Open and shut.
They literally raised the threat level
Dumbass
under
boy
Biden.
from
Not under
Clubhouse
Trump. Not under Trump.
No, you got
But
it.
the terror threat level was raised to its highest level
Airtight.
by a Biden administration, not under Trump, saying we're a threat from terrorists.
You're right.
Am I right
How
or
many
wrong?
times have terrorists flown planes into buildings in American history? Oh wait.
Only got to do it once. You only got to be successful once.
So then, how likely is it to happen again?
So now, what happened? They flew it in just once. But how many times have you had to take your shoes off ever since then? How many times do you have?
A bunch of times.
Oh, see? So they changed the laws because of one event that happened.
It's not a law, it's a constitutional amendment, and the difference in changing them is extreme.
They changed security policies to make it
No,
more secure,
federal
so
law,
that
constitutional
the
amendments
thing
are not
that
the
you were
same
pretending
thing.
happens every other week
My point is the
doesn't
policy
happen
changed, Marshall.
anymore, Corey. You just debunked yourself.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yes, you
Literally,
did.
no, there's a reason that we have to be more careful, and you just are being way
Okay,
too ignorant
so
to
what is the September 11th event that took place that makes it so birthright citizenship needs to be rescinded? Oh wait.
Did I not already explain this? And I just don't understand where you're headed.
No, you didn't give
Yes,
me.
I
you
did.
didn't give me
There are
any,
threats
okay,
that
so
are
then
here.
what
And
is
you know
the-
what? It's
what is the
real
what
simple.
is the September
Real simple for
11th
somebody to
event
have a
that
child
took
here.
place?
Use that child to try to get get in here
Corey,
and
but
say, hey, guess
you
what?
can't
No,
amend
it doesn't.
the
Fuck.
law
Here's what you guys think that it's just a mass freaking. This is fucking hilarious. You had 12 motherfucking people jump on a plane and fuck this country up. Shut it the fuck down. How much did that cost us? 12 motherfucking people. And you think that we don't have to change a policy because no, it's got to be a mass ordeal.
No, I was ready for
it's got to be a majority of these people that are a threat.
That makes
it
it
does
so
not
that we
need
need
to be a majority.
I'm asking you to specify the September 11th event that makes it so we need to get rid of birthright citizenship.
It proved that a small number of people can do large amounts of damages.
Is because
I just
there is
proved
no
it.
such event. You made that up. You're dumb.
No, I made September 11th up. I made September 11th up. Holy fuck!
September
You are
11th is not the
motherfucker.
reason why we need to change birthright citizenship, dumbass. None of the fucking terrorists had birthright citizenship. That wasn't even a factor, dumbass. So that's not.
You're a dumbass. Listen, dumbass. You're a fucking dumbass. What I'm telling you is there are threats in this country that require things to be different. In 1800, they wanted to populate the fucking country, so they gave birthright citizenship. Prove that.
Wouldn't it be easier for you, dumbass, to specify the September 11th event that makes it so that now it's super fucking important in 2025 all of a fucking sudden to end birthright citizenship? Like, wouldn't that be easy if you weren't a dumbass? But you can't do it because you are a dumbass. You just backed yourself down logically into a corner. I exposed your dumbass for it, and you don't like it. So now you're trying to talk over me in my own room like I'm gonna fucking let that happen. I'm just like exposing your stupid fucking logic, bro. You haven't provided a single fucking reason why it makes sense to end birthright citizenship. You evoked 9/11 for no real reason because birthright citizenship is not even implicated by that event. So I don't know why the fuck you brought it up, other than, I guess, to make a general point of like, hey, sometimes fuck shit happens and we need to change the laws. I'm like, okay, so name the fuck shit that happened. That means we need to change birthright citizenship. Oh, did you hear me say 9/11? The fuck? You're arguing in circles, bro.
And it also greatly bothers me about people are thinking law and constitutional amendments are on the same level. They're not.
He just doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, bro. Like, he doesn't know shit about the 14th Amendment, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment are not the kinds of things that you want to change willy-nilly because, they have a whole role in fucking civil rights and give them, black people rights and shit, bro. Like, you don't want to just change that because it's 2025, dumbass. You don't want to just change that because 9/11 or some shit. Like, what? Like, just make sense, bro. I was just asking you to make a fucking point.
Hey, Jason.
You're too dumb to do that.
Jason,
so you've got to
can I help on something?
Yeah, of course. I'd rather you just, bro, this is a stupid ass fucking argument. But go ahead.
Jason, I put something in the chat, and you guys can interpret it however you want. There's all kinds of scholars that have ripped this apart different ways, including it comes up at the Constitution Center often. So just like any law, you always look at the legislative intent. You look at when it was introduced and who wrote it and what was behind it. So that clause of the 14th Amendment was written by a senator, Senator Howard from Michigan. And his initial, they quote his initial speech where he carved out aliens, born of aliens. He also carved out, allegedly in that speech, that's where the ambassador issue comes up. But there's been arguments on both sides, and clearly that's what's going to be argued when it goes to the Supreme Court. But that's one good way of dissecting when you look at a law or an amendment. Although, yes, Marshall's right, it's not legislation. There was still a legislative intent behind it. And so that it may be helpful to look at it. I put some links in the chat for you to look at the different points of view on that. I don't know if that'll help, but that's who wrote it. At least that's who wrote that clause.
So I feel like I like that. It's explanatory to me. One of the points I was going to make is I actually looked this up, and I'm, Abby, as you know, quite a big fan of the National Constitution Center. So I'm on their page right now. I sent what I was looking at to you on Facebook, so you have it. because prior to the Civil War, both state and national citizenship were subject to considerable controversy. State citizenship was especially important for practical purposes because it gave the jurisdiction of the federal courts that was based on diversity of citizenship, and because of Article 4 secured certain rights to a citizen of one state who were present in another. Different theories go down to a flashpoint of the controversy over citizenship was, as Jason correctly stated, the Supreme Court's 1857 Dred Scott v. Sanford. Dred Scott, who had been held as a slave, sued the executor of his former master's estate under state citizenship diversity jurisdiction of the federal courts, seeking determination that he had become free because his master had voluntarily taken him into a free territory. Chief Justice Taney, was appointed under Andrew Jackson, concluded that Scott was not a citizen of any state for the purposes of diversity jurisdiction because the Constitution implicitly limited both state and federal citizenship on racial grounds, generally excluding individuals like Scott who were of African descent. This and other aspects of Taney's analysis were strongly disputed by dissenters in the court and others who noted that free blacks had in fact been viewed as citizens by many states at the founding. So if there's more to it that I won't read, but Jason, I wanted to read something in defense of your point of view, because I think you're right.
Can I read a couple of lines, Luck?
No. I was going to read from the thing that she provided. So go ahead, read what you wanted to read, Marshall, and then I'll read. And then whoever else asks, you can read after me.
Okay, I'll finish it up then. Where'd it go? The Republican Party opposed Dred Scott, in which Chief Justice also stated that Congress could not bar slavery from federal territories. Excluding slavery from territories was Republicans' principal goal, so the Chief Justice had implied that the party was organized for an unconstitutional purpose. Led by Abraham Lincoln, the Republican Party while controlled the White House in 1860, and Lincoln's administration took legal action contra Taney that free blacks were indeed American citizens. At the end of the Civil War, the Republican Party was in control of the 39th Congress, which started its first session in December of 1865, at the time when former Confederate states had formed new white-dominated governments that restricted the right of former slaves. In response to those discriminatory laws, generally referred to as Black Codes, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act in 1866. Which declared that all persons born or naturalized in the United States were citizens of the United States and a state within they lived, thereby affirming the rule of citizenship by birth that did not depend on race. And it's longer, so I'm not going to read the rest of it, but essentially it goes down into forming of the 14th Amendment. And I will maintain the only instances you're really able to mitigate constitutional rights unless you're the Supreme Court is the passage of something getting rid of a constitutional right. So the 18th Amendment, the idea that we would have prohibition, could not be limited by the executive. It had to have a contrary constitutional amendment passed to get rid of it. And I will say what I said at the beginning, which is I get really frustrated when people put law passed by Congress, executive prerogative, and constitutional rights all on equal footing, because they are by definition not on equal footing. Constitutional rights and the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution guarantee that those rights should have a staying power that something passed in the Federal Register simply doesn't.
All right, so this Media Matters for America thing that Abby put in the chat is having a discussion about what the author of the Citizenship Clause said about the operative for the operative phrase that the Citizenship Clause is talking about. So it says, right-wing media has claimed that Senator Jacob Howard, the author of the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, said that it would not apply to the children of foreigners. However, scholars dispute the interpretation of Howard's remarks, and the Supreme Court noted in 1898 that the white children of European foreigners have always been considered and treated as citizens. So right-wing media cite Howard's statement to claim the 14th Amendment wasn't intended for the children of aliens. Coulter, I don't know if it's Ann Coulter, somebody Coulter, says the drafters of the 14th Amendment had no intention of conferring citizenship on the children of aliens, from Coulter, August 9th column. The drafters of the 14th Amendment had no intention of conferring citizenship on the children of aliens who happened to be born in the U.S. For my younger readers, back in those days, people cleaned their own houses and raised their own kids. Inasmuch as this sounds like Ann Coulter, inasmuch as America is was not the massive welfare state operating as a magnet for malingerers, frauds and cheats that it is today, it's amazing the drafters even considered the amendment's effect on the children of aliens. But they did. The very author of the Citizenship Clause, Senator Jacob Howard of Michigan, expressly said, quote, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers. So Washington Examiner contributor McQuain Howard McQuain says, Howard, quote, made it clear he wasn't at all talking about the babies of anyone, but those considered natural citizens, end quote. Bruce McQuain wrote in an August 9th Washington Examiner post. He says, but anchor babies, as they have become to be known, have nothing to do with tradition or the intent of the amendment. In fact, the man who wrote it at the time made it very clear he wasn't at all talking about babies of anyone, but those considered natural citizens. Senator Jacob Howard of Michigan, the Citizenship Clause author, was very clear about that point. And now he's quoting, I guess, Howard. Quote, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers, underline added. One has to wonder how that could be misinterpreted. So there's different interpretations of the same quote. Scholars dispute this interpretation of Howard's statement. Section 1 of the 14th Amendment states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, and that part is the part that's important, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So Senator Jacob Howard, Republican of Michigan, proposed Citizenship Clause and stated on May 30th, 1866, this amendment, which I have offered, is simply declaratory of what I regard as the law of the land already, that every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law a citizen of the United States. This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to government of the United States, but will include every other class of persons. It settles the great question of citizenship and removes all doubt as to what persons are or are not citizens of the United States. So those are his words, apparently, according to this. Following Howard's statement, senators went on to debate whether it was wise to extend citizenship to the children of foreigners. So during the May 30th, 1866 Senate debate over Howard's proposed Citizenship Clause to the 14th Amendment, several senators discussed whether it was a good idea to extend citizenship to the children of foreigners. As Media Matters for America has noted, the debate indicates that they believe that the Citizenship Clause would apply to the children of foreigners. For instance, Senator Edgar Cohen of Pennsylvania, who voted against the 14th Amendment, aired his concerns that Chinese immigrants would overrun California, and Senator John Conness of California stated, quote, the proposition before us, I will say, Mr. President, relates simply in that respect to the children begotten of Chinese parents in California, and it is proposed to declare that they shall be citizens. We have declared that by law. Now it is proposed to incorporate the same provision in the fundamental instrument of the nation. I am in favor of doing so. I voted for the proposition to declare that the children of all parentage, whatever, born in California, should be regarded and treated as citizens of the United States and entitled to equal civil rights with other citizens of the United States. Former Thomas Clerk. Repeal proponents' interpretation of Howard's statement, quote, renders completely meaningless the subsequent dialogue, end quote, and, quote, nothing indicates drafters intended to draw distinctions between different categories of aliens. So James C. Ho, the Solicitor General of Texas, who previously clerked for Justice Clarence Thomas, worked in the Bush administration and served as chief counsel to Senator John Cornyn.
Yeah, Cornyn's the right way to say that. He's still senior.
He wrote in 2006 that, quote, no senator disputed the meaning of the amendment with respect to alien children, end quote. And, quote, nothing in the text or history suggests that the drafters intended to draw distinctions between different categories of aliens, end quote. Hope further wrote. Repeal proponents contend that history supports their position. First, they quote Howard's introductory remarks to state that birthright citizenship, quote, will not, of course, include foreigners, end quote. But that reads Howard's reference to aliens who belong to families of ambassadors or foreign ministers out of the sentence. It also renders completely meaningless the subsequent dialogue between Senators Cohen and Conness over the wisdom of extending birthright citizenship to the children of Chinese immigrants and gypsies. So legal scholar Garrett Epps' restrictionist reading of Howard's statement is strained. So legal scholar Garrett Epps wrote in a recent working paper that, quote, a review of the legislative debates, end quote, indicates that the citizenship clause, quote, was designed to exclude two and only two groups, end quote, children of diplomats and, quote, members of Indian tribes who maintain quasi-sovereign status, end quote. Epps further wrote, quote, originalism is often advanced as a methodology that holds promise for clarifying unclear portions of constitutional text or for filling lacune in the document. I don't know what that means. That is not the use to which it is being put in the context of the citizenship clause. Here, the originalist claim is in essence that seemingly clear words mean something other than what they say, that the language was adopted with mental reservation or qualification that should prevent our giving them their plain meaning. Referring to Howard's statement, Epps wrote in a footnote, Professor Mayton reads this language as excluding the children of two classes of aliens from birthright citizenship. First, all consular personnel, and second, aliens. That is, we should construe Howard as meaning that the citizenship clause will exclude the two classes, consisting in essence of one, the children of all foreigners, and two, the children of some foreigners. Professor Mayton considers this thesis confirmed because at the time no objection was made. The most logical inference is to this reader is that no one objected because no one understood it in the strained way that the Professor Mayton does. And descending so to the level of grammatical parsing, I feel that we are in danger.
I get Gildas and Creed.
Creed is another one that's up there for words like, oh, Creed's voice just makes my
Studying how, at least in Catholicism, how to not judge other people as well.
Yeah, for sure. This is Edmund in the audience.
You should join us. He probably has some really good insight.
To make our brain rot.
Well, I just think that he's smashed, but I don't know why he doesn't think that about himself.
You know how Go ahead, Edmund.
Go ahead. What do you mean, go ahead?
You know how I knew this Earth Moon was your account?
How?
Because you were on YouTube and I was in a room and I didn't see you in there and I was like, what account could he be? And I was like, oh, it has to be Earth Moon. Yeah. I've gotten to 121 so far.
What, you're reading a book all day long?
Huh?
Did you say you got to page 221?
No, I got to 121 comparisons on ChatGPT.
Oh, what is that, like some kind of like award system? Like congratulations?
I feel like I have to teach you how to converse.
Oh, I don't know how to speak.
Other questions?
Understood. Okay, well, let me ask ChatGPT.
Should I keep going, Christy?
Yeah, I think you should. I think it's early, actually.
But I feel like I'm not actually going through all of them because there's so many.
Maybe then just read maybe when you have a chance. Just read there when you can.
Well, the reason I want to go through all of them is because I want it to like be an exhaustive, like completed list, so I can share it with others. Yeah. Okay. So far, of all the hadith and Bible passage comparisons you shared, which ones are the most similar and why? Okay, so it says, so I asked it, it says, of all the hadith and Bible verse comparisons I've shared, some are remarkably similar in wording, structure, and meaning. Below are the most closely aligned hadith and Bible passages, along with explanations of why they are nearly identical. So do not let your left hand know what your right hand gives. So this hadith says, a man who gives in charity and conceals it so much that his left hand does not know what his right hand has spent. And then the Bible says, but when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. That's pretty similar. Love for others what you love for yourself, and none of you shall believe until he loves his brother what he loves for himself. In the Bible, do to others as you would have them do to you. God is near to those who call upon him. Allah says, I am as my servant thinks I am. I am with him when he remembers me. It's interesting that it says that, because I'm pretty sure that's a Quran verse, but it's saying it's a hadith. And then the Bible says, come near to God and he will come near to you. The first shall be last and the last shall be first. This one says, whoever humbles himself for the sake of Allah, Allah will raise him in status. And the Bible says, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Very similar. The hadith says, when a Muslim prays, his sins fall away from him just as leaves fall from a tree. The Bible says, though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Both use natural imagery, falling leaves and changing colors to represent sins being forgiven. The idea of purification is central in both teachings. Whoever expects from God will be given. If you rely upon Allah with true reliance, he will provide for you just as he provides for the birds. They go out hungry in the morning and return with full bellies. The Bible says, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father
feeds them. It's what it is. You get what you
get. Are you not
get.
much more valuable than they?
And how you, the thing is, what you get is what you get. What really counts is the story you've got going about what's happened.
Right, yep.
The story is the whole thing.
I certainly.
And most people are literally entranced by the voice in their head. They got a story going in there, and they believe it because they think that's who they are.
Yeah. It's funny because when I described psychosis once to my friend Linda, she goes, oh my God, you made it sound beautiful. And she was like, and I was like, well, yeah. I said, I get to choose the narrative of my life. So why not choose something that is beautiful? Like, since I get to make it up. So
well, I'll say, we have stories. That's all we have. And so you can be a pessimist or you can be an optimist, and they're both absolutely justifiable. Well, pessimist is justifiable, but it's just a hell of a lot more fun to be an optimist.
Yeah. And I see Adrian down there. I should say. No, when he was fairly recently saying that language is, what is it? Oh God, I'm gonna mess it up. What do you always say, Aaron, about it being a trance, like language is a trance or something like that?
Oh well, I'm saying we live in a linguistically induced hypnotic trance. We are under the spell of the voice in our head, just like a stage hypnotist does to people. Well, our language machine does it to us for free.
Yeah, and so when he was saying that, I was like, hey, that sounds like Aaron Stone. And he was like, yeah, I've talked to him.
Yeah. I think this is an idea whose time has finally come. I think this is, I mean, it's been there for a long time, but for some reason nobody seemed to get it or whatever. But all of a sudden, just in the last like year or two, it seems, I'm running into people who, I don't know, it's easier to talk about this stuff than it was a couple of years ago. People sort of understand what I'm talking about now, and they didn't a couple of years ago. It's changing.
What do you think accounts for that?
I think Earth is waking up. I think what's happening on the planet is not of our doing. We are embedded, like I say, we are like cells in Earth's body. Earth is going through a metamorphosis, and I think it's going to come to a head within the next 10 or 20 years, maybe next 5 years. I mean, the way things are going, shit, who knows? Yeah, I'm expecting the total transformation of planet and humanity to awaken from Paleolithic trance of language.
And I saw that, I was like, you know what, that has to be added to our sound effects. That shit is so fucking geek. It's great as hell. I don't know, is it just me or is the space underperforming right now because of the link is broken? Is that just me?
Yeah, it was broken when I first tried to join. Like, I didn't see a link. And now it seems to be okay.
Yeah, I don't know. What is your